broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey guys, welcome back to the AFTERBUZZ TV Sleepy Hollow After Show. We're back. There's a weird dance happening on the other side of the table.
It's the coconut dance.
You don't have to fade that music so quickly, James. Let's bring it back up.
I can't even remember the name of the movie.
Sweet haunting music.
That movie
Either
with
way,
that giant killer bunny.
it's time to talk about the premiere of season 3, you guys. The premiere of season 3. Oh.
My God, there was a bit of an echo there, but you gotta ignore it. You know why you gotta ignore it? Because out of all of the things that you shouldn't be ignoring, like this episode of Sleepy Hollow, because to be perfectly honest, it came back good.
Yeah, it came back with a vengeance.
I witness that this is a good episode.
I see. What
That's
you
the
did
title
there.
of the episode, is
I see what you did
Eyewitness.
there. Yes.
Yeah.
It was like, right off the bat, they're just like, okay, guys, so let's get rid of Headless. Let's, now that we're out, now that we have no more John Noble, we don't have Katrina anymore. Oh, by the way, Orlando Jones is also gone because he just went away in the night without telling anyone where he's going.
He left because they done him wrong. That is why he left.
There was a few moments in this episode. Let's get into that when it's time to get into that, because there's so much to talk about. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, because we still have to introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
For tuning into the premiere. Thank you. Welcome back. We are going to talk about this tonight. I'm your host for this season, Zach Wilson. You can tweet me throughout the week, throughout the show, at that Zach Wilson, ThatzachWilson. You've already heard from them a little bit, but over here, my fantastic panel.
123 Jackie B. You can find me on my website, 123jackieb.com.
And that's Jacque Borowski. And Stephen Lemieux over there.
Well, you guys know me because my name is John Cena!
Yes. No.
Wait,
no.
what?
Wrong.
No.
This is not a... No.
What is... Stop.
Love
Stop
you guys.
That.
I'm back.
Stop that.
Okay.
I'm the worst person ever. Roxy,
Yes.
you can just grab everything. You're fine. You're totally fine. They're on the 2 shots. You're good.
Just some behind-the-scenes magic
There's
going on here.
sunglasses on the couch.
Roxy
No, those
cannot
are mine.
find her things.
Okay. Anyway, so let's talk about Sleepy Hollow, you guys.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist that, Zach.
Yeah.
I'm the worst. Punjar.
Oh God, are we gonna do that this year?
I don't know if we can, because it seems like these writers are really all about the comedy.
Well, the thing is, I was watching this episode and I kept thinking, Steve must love this because it's all pun-jarring.
It was quite pun-jarring, this episode.
Yes, it was quite pun-jarring.
Oh.
Worst.
Okay.
So you're breaking down the episode this way, Zach?
Yeah, let's jump into. We've already given our sort of like thoughts about the episode overall. Let's talk about Abby and Ichabod.
They have matching haircuts, and I appreciate that. That's how you know they're in love. Their hair is matching, even though they've been apart. It's matching.
Speaking of them being apart, I really liked that. I liked that we did a little time jump. We didn't need to like pick up right away because like I don't even know.
I think we needed to do a time jump because even though the last like episode or 2 of last season was fixing what happened, they're trying to distance themselves from the train wreck that was the majority of last season, and I appreciate that. And
you need to, because like, look, we're all being honest, Sleepy Hollow season 2 was rough, to say the least. And I mean, we have a new showrunner this year. Mark Goffman was let go. For anyone who missed that in the off season, there's a new showrunner, and that's why it feels a little bit different this year.
It feels different.
It does feel different.
It feels like the first episode of the first season.
Yes.
We're just like, what the hell?
Yes.
Like, in a good way. Where you're just like, okay, cool. So the show is back to being comedic. you know, moving fast, not killing every single new character. They killed one, but hey, we got Danny. We got
Brent.
Danny at the office.
We lost Brent.
Mikas. What's Mikas gonna do? Zoolander's gonna have to do another freaking Yagoogly now that Brent's dead. You think I'm not a good Yagoogleizer, Zach? Is that what you feel?
Yes. Anyway, but Abby and I like that they felt they had a falling out after this, because what we all felt at the end of season 2 was confusion because Moloch was supposed to be
selfish poop face.
Well, but just bigger stuff. Moloch was primed in season 1 as this villain that was going to take 7 years of battles and war to defeat.
Yes.
That was the whole thing, was 7 years.
7 years of uninteresting villainry.
And then after 2 seasons, Moloch is dead.
Totes
and
dead.
We're all wondering, what now? But what the show did that was really great was they came in and they I'm trying to.
What they did was they told the story without on your nose writing. They didn't open up the episode with 9 months later. They didn't do any of that. They created a story and they created the running episode through dialogue. We have her answering a phone call that's like, hey, yeah, I know this guy. Okay, yeah, he's in jail. And this is where we get the reunion between Ichabod and Abby, where she meets him dressed in orange with his haircut in a penitentiary, and he's been there for 5 days, and he was arrested for trying to enter the country with restricted materials, and they just mentioned casually, like, yeah, it's been 9 months. What have you been doing?
Yeah, but what that did for us was that it allowed the new showrunner, whose name I was trying to find, Clifton Campbell, it allowed him to come into this season and acknowledge that these people don't know what they're doing now. Mm-hmm. They in that conversation at the jail, which I love seeing Ichabod in an orange jail jumpsuit. Amazing. But in that conversation, they break down the fact that with Moloch defeated, what is their purpose? What is the and I'll read into the subtext, what is the purpose of this show now?
Right.
What are these characters here for now?
I also like it when they acknowledge that there had been an apocalypse and Abby thinks it's all over, just like we as fans felt, okay, well, if Moloch was the big bad, shouldn't it be all over? And it was interesting because Abby, as us, I always say this, felt like, well, yeah, it's all over. Mm-hmm. And we just had to be taught that it wasn't all over.
But we got a little bit of a retcon written into this episode where it's not 7 years, it's 7 tribulations.
Hey, guys, you know what we said in the first season?
So it's 8 seasons now.
We can change that. And it's going to be tribulations. You know, we read it wrong. Translations get a little funky. Old
Ancient
Testament,
Sumerian.
New Testament, you know tribulations.
Those words for like tribulation and year. Everyone gets those confused.
I mean,
hey, can you read Ancient Sumerian?
Yes.
Or Ancient Hebrew?
Hey,
not Hebrew now.
If witnesses and destroyers can be mixed up, then tribulations and years can be mixed up.
But at least witnesses and destroyers are like 2 words that describe people. Like, theoretically, in Ancient Sumerian or whatever, those could be used in the same part of a sentence, like to describe a person, and like who knows? In that language, it might be like 1 letter off. But
427 tribulations ago.
But like the word for year and the word for a problem that needs solving.
Zach, I can proudly tell you right now, I'm 25 tribulations old.
2015 has been a long tribulation.
It's been a rough life for Stephen
You're
Lemieux.
acting like a 2 tribulation-year-old. Okay, so I want to talk about this scene that they bring back Katrina in. So we get to bring back Abraham and Katrina for just a flashback. Jackie.
We didn't bring them back. We did a flashback. We reused some footage from season 2.
They get residuals, so we brought them back. We predicted that they'd be brought back in some way, and we got it in the first episode.
Because we had to explain the magic necklace.
And technically, we're right.
Are you allowed to wear jewelry in jail? This is a question I have.
No, it depends.
I think most jails take it away from you, but this was like customs and immigration holding.
Yeah, and it could have been seen as a religious icon, as like a rosary.
Yeah, but Ichabod wouldn't know to claim that. I don't think.
But then the question is, what did Jesus bring with him that, if this was like customs holding, what did he bring?
I think it's just a community jail. I don't think it's like state penitentiary. I think it's just a penitentiary, like a normal.
No, because it said customs and immigration outside of the outside when Abby went in.
Okay, yeah.
But he could have been bringing in like drugs. Like, it's not just for people bringing religious like historical artifacts through customs. Like,
there's a jail for historical artifacts, only if they're over 2,000 tribulations old. So he talks about his leaving of Abby. He talks about how he just needed some solitude after his wife and son were murdered in front of him, or technically blown up in front of him. So every night he developed this communion, which is just ridiculous. You wrote this down too, right, Zach? Where he's just talking to himself in the bunk, but we realize he's talking to his
bunk. And I return to the question that echoes through my soul. Is my destiny not to be ceaseless
traveler, inexorably slouching my way through this mortal coil? Can you hear me, Jesus? I hear you, Sea Dog. It's the hard knock life for us, a wise man once said. But he tells us about the necklace. It was linked to Abraham's soul, and basically when Pandora seals Abraham within her box, I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't watched the episode, sorry.
No, you should not be watching our show if you have not watched the episode.
Yeah, there's no spoiler alert. Talk about anything you want from the episode.
But to be honest, as soon as I saw that box, I'm like, oh, it's like Pandora's box.
Because she's Pandora.
Yeah.
Well, before we even knew that.
We'll absolutely delve into Pandora, and Stephen has an amazing theory. Stick around for it because it's insane in a great way. But before we get away from Abby and Ichabod, let's talk about the tablet that he got arrested for. I was laughing so loud when he's like, I translated it, and it translates to The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. All I'm thinking is like, great. Is the author it's gonna be like written, inscribed by like Washington Irving? It's like some Sumerian version of Washington Irving. So long, Irving.
I don't understand this last line though. It says, "Make 7 up yours." I really just don't get it.
It could be. I mean, I love it though. I mean, like, I'm joking about it, but I think it's a great way to bring it in. I mean, I've been waiting for them to sort of do more to acknowledge the book of Sleepy Hollow, like the tale that we know. Mm-hmm. I actually always assumed that it was going to have been real, that Washington Irving is like an acknowledged person. They haven't at all.
Yeah.
They've also not acknowledged the only for anyone who just hasn't heard this before, I grew up 2 towns over from Sleepy Hollow, so I know the entire layout of the real town. The town next to it is Irvington, which they have not acknowledged. It's the only town in that area that has not gotten name checked in this show.
Maybe we'll get it this time. Maybe they're going to find Frank Irving in Irvington when he comes back to the show, if he comes back to the show.
Yeah, if people stop treating him like crap. Anyway, sidebar.
Yeah. I mean, they won't. He's gone forever.
I will say this right now, just to get it out of the way, so I don't have to mention it ever again. I will put the shovel down and bury Frangenicke Merlving.
No.
That shipping is gone. There is no Merlving. There is no Frangenicke. It's done. Also, I have to say,
so sad. But
Franklin Stein still lives.
Yes, he does.
Oh yeah, Franklin Stein lives.
He's coming back.
Franklin Stein lives.
Yes.
So I love that when they leave the jail, they're in the car, and Ichabod's talking about, because this episode just had so many like little funny moments that like I'd be remiss not to mention them. So I'm sorry if I'm taking you off topic sometimes, Zach, to mention these things, because I don't want to skip them. But he's like, and that's about the time when I realized what they meant by upright position on the plane meant. Your seat must be in an upright position.
I like that she said crane on a plane. I thought that was cute.
Crane on a plane. This episode really just skipped a lot.
Somebody get this crane.
Oh my god. It skipped it forewent the long explanations too. It feels like last season they really just went in depth, and like they had to make some convoluted way of them finding something. But like in this episode, I can think of a few things like, oh, I decided to look up my descendants. Go to Scotland, and there's a tomb there. Open it. There's a stone tablet, 4,000 years old stone tablet that says all that. But then like Jenny, like, we're gonna have to find this. Jenny's like, found it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We don't have to go on some fetch quest to find this damn stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't have. It's not a book that's in a library 40 miles away.
But I also like that in that scene, we acknowledge that Jenny has done extensive research, which we've hinted to, but somehow last season forgot. And then Jenny was like, "I don't know anything. Holly, teach me how to be a person." But this season we have her like, "Oh yeah, I've archived all that stuff," and as we mentioned in the first season, where she spent her entire time with Corbin trying to search down these artifacts. So now we have an acknowledgement of it, and we reap the benefits of it.
There you go. And that box said Corbin, reminding us of Corb-Trina.
I know.
R.I.P.
There are people asking us to stop shipping, and I think they think Franklinstein is a ship name.
No, it's actually a monster on Sleepy Hollow.
I'm pretty sure they were
it was Ben
Franklin's
Ben Franklin's monster.
It's Ben Franklin's monster,
who is just wandered off into the mist and has
we're a huge fan of him, and he should come back.
Yes.
So we got to mention.
Abby. We got to mention Abby getting her promotion to...
She's an FBI agent.
From Quantico.
Yeah. Finally got that promotion. Yeah, she wanted to go to Quantico, but ABC wouldn't let her.
There you
go.
Which, by the way, Abby, as an FBI agent, has to be much better than that show. But that's a side point.
Hey-o.
I heard decent things about Quantico premiere.
Do you see Abby posing with her sexy FBI badge in her
the
mouth?
The promos aside, I heard the show was good. Yeah.
Did you see Abby
No, Abby's not going to bite her badge on a black background.
September 27th, 9 Central. But they're back on the case.
They are back on the case. She's still bringing him into cases without worrying about who's this person.
I love how she's an FBI agent now, so you think she would have more jurisdiction to be able to ask for information, and she still steals the artifact from the colonial times.
Oh my god!
Couldn't you say this is part of something you're doing for the FBI instead of having to steal it?
I guess then she'd have to fill out paperwork and a bunch of stuff. But if she gets caught, she's like FBI undercover mission and badge, and then wrong.
I do like though that they acknowledge that Abby had this dream and she's still pursuing it despite all the things that are happening, including apocalypse.
I think it's interesting, too, because it takes us back to the first season when she doesn't necessarily believe everything. Yeah, James is showing us the Quantico thing with the badge next to her
There's
lips.
one also with her naked, draped in an American flag.
Why not, Jackie? Stop taking everything I love away from me. That includes naked women draped in American flags. So,
Steve, if you were an FBI agent, I do know that you would be naked and draped in an American flag.
I would, with tons of other FBI agents at the same time. 50 stars. All right,
but yeah,
Abby is still resistant to going back to the old ways. She's like, it's been 9 months. She's a Quantico agent now. She's an FBI agent now. She doesn't really want to get back in that spiritual stuff. But every time, it's just right in her face. And Ichabod's like, I found this dragon's breath. Oh, you get it the duty free? Puts it on the paw print, nothing, and then... It's just staring her in the face, but she still does not want to accept that it's something.
Well, and people fall back into their old habits. He calls her lieutenant, and she still, even though she is no longer lieutenant, she says, "Hey, that's part of our dealia. That's part of our relationship. So keep calling me that." And
then they end that scene with, "Evil has returned to Sleepy Hollow," and I'm like, "Shit, the showrunner's coming back."
That's cute.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm reliving watching it, Zach, as I say the same jokes I said while watching it.
Well, I thought this was more of an apt observation that you had while we were watching, in that it's gonna feel a little X-Files-y.
I like that it feels X-Files.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing. You have two characters who, by the end of this episode, she gives her big speech to the it's real. I'm a witness, but I think she's still gonna be frustrated and not want it. She's like, there are very real threats in this world. Not all of them are supernatural.
I had a problem with the placement of that speech, because that speech needs to be said where she has that moment and she's accepting what her job is and who she is, and despite her going after her dreams, there's still the piece about her destiny. So I like that there was that speech. I just don't know that like delivering it to a gangster with hostages was appropriate, because I feel like that guy, even though yes he saw a demon, he might be like, what the crap, lady, what are you talking about? I don't care. I'm keeping the hostages.
I'm keeping the hostages. I'm not upset at all by the demon that slashed out somebody's throat.
Yeah, it seemed like a weird space to put that in there in a hostage negotiation, especially considering that that guy like only kind of barely knows what's going on.
Well, maybe if Mitch Granger wasn't such a muggle, he would have been able to save himself. Last name, that's why I made that joke.
Yeah, so you know. Yeah. Well, Abby lost another partner.
She did.
In this,
She's
like
lost,
in that scene.
No, well, not her partner. Wasn't that? I thought that was her boss.
Was
that
it
was
her boss?
It was,
okay.
It was. So she's lost Corbin, and she's lost this guy the same way with like a neck cut.
Yeah.
And then Irving was her boss, and she lost him.
His neck got cut too. No, Corbin's neck got cut.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now this guy's neck got cut.
But so Abby's lost at least...
anyone going on missions with Abby that's not like a witness needs to start wearing a neck guard.
I wonder if Mitch has a son.
Bosses,
I wonder if Mitch has a son that in season 4 they can bring in from one episode to create a romance with and bring him out. Just like Corbin had a son.
Hey.
I do want to shout out Sleepy Riders because they just retweeted our show.
Awesome.
That's great. Thank you, Sleepy Riders. I did hear a rumor that Corbin's son's coming back this season.
Oh, that's good. He was a good character.
Yeah. Oh, he's a great character. Yeah. We talked about it last year that we loved him when he showed up. It was a great drama to have around Abby, but he disappeared. And having him have this Wendigo past now makes him a very interesting character. And so I hope that it's true. I hope that we get him back and that he becomes a big part of the show, because that kind of dynamic, growing up like not related but related with the same quote-unquote father, is very interesting to watch a dynamic unfold between these two people.
And aside from just the relationship dynamic, I think that because our team, they don't actually possess any supernatural powers. All they're using is their human powers. And when you have a show where you're fighting something supernatural, they lost Katrina, not that she did much as a witch anyway, but you do need some sort of element of supernatural on your team to bulk you up, to beef you up. So it's nice to have somebody who's essentially a werewolf.
Yeah.
Well, I like that they're not going to give it to him easily. And they've left several clues in the episode.
Give it to who easily?
They're not going to give them all of their tools to use it unless they bring back Holly. Hey guys, Holly's back.
No.
Good to have you. So there's a few clues here where they kind of clue into this. I'm saying clue way too many times, so maybe we should have a clue jar. Have they no reminder for the past? The season's going to have a lot of clues from the past, but then they talk about also demolishing the archives to build a mini mall. So I think this is kind of if you look at season 1 and season 2, everything was still there. Hundreds of years later, like everything was pretty much still intact. I think they're cluing in that a lot of things are not going to be as easy as it was the first go around. Like, they also mention, do you think we really have the head priest of an Akbar or whatever it's called, Ishtar priestess to bless our arrows?
Yeah.
Like, they're leaving these clues that there's relics of the past that they don't have access to, or they're going to have to be very smart about. I want to go back to the Indian reservation. I want them going to these different people to find these things, to get these things, instead of just being like, oh, this was under the building and blah blah blah.
It would be like we want to see them struggle is the thing. Like those dealing with these kind of ancient things shouldn't be easy for them, and so I'm literally looking forward to them struggling this season to deal with that. And if the archives get destroyed, that's a great way to just make it harder.
Like the archives being destroyed was they paved paradise. It was a big yellow taxi moment for me. The paved paradise, and they put up a parking lot. I'm like, oh, it makes me so angry when they don't preserve historical buildings like that, and especially because the archives was the place where our Scooby Gang met.
Yeah.
Where are they going to meet now? The cabin? Maybe.
So, we also have, do you want to talk about Jenny?
Well, well, before we get off of like the FBI and all that, too far away from it, I feel like we need to mention, let's just do a quick look at Ichabod's 2 love interests introduced in this episode? Because there's 2.
There's a rant that's a coming.
I assumed, and I wanted to give you...
That's why we put it down there.
Well, no, I want to get out of the way now before we get into... Because then I want to spend the rest of the show talking about Pandora and fear and all of that, because there's so much to talk about.
So we're going to do Betsy Ross now?
We're talking about Ichabod's 2 love interests, yeah.
Oh my god, okay. Have fun.
Because we get... it was... Danny, this like starstruck. They were just
trying to make her be what was that girl's name? Carolyn
from Sherlock.
No,
that's what I thought of.
No, they were trying to make her be that one-off episode girl, Carolyn, who was like helping him with the
last
costumes.
Year,
because everybody loved how cute she was, but it kind of made sense because she thought he was part of her like reenactment team.
Yeah, that
Here
was
you just
wonderful.
have someone being randomly starstruck for no reason. I didn't get that.
No, it was because she was attracted to him.
See,
yeah,
I think there's more to because like I won't
there has
accept
to be more,
that it's
otherwise it's really
not just her
weird and
like
awkward.
Looking at Ichabod and like starry eyed. I think that he's wearing Katrina's necklace, which has certain powers about it.
It's broken now.
Well, it's broken in a certain sense, but who knows what else it might carry. I have to think that there is something to it other than that she's just
I know exactly what it is.
What is it?
She's attracted to him. It's just it's basically just a fishing line they can bring up later. They make him attracted to her, or they make her attracted to him. So if Abby can't access the Force, or if Abby gets kicked out or something, then Ichabod can be the one to ask for a favor, to flirt, to get that information, to be like, could you do me a favor, please? Oh, it's for me. It's fine. Like, she's the plant to help them once Abby's no longer able to access that information, I think.
There's nothing, though, that makes me angrier on a show than setting up everybody as a potential love interest, which was the problem we had last season, where you were thinking, oh my gosh, I have to ship this person and that person and this person and that person. And it set up a scene where like they wanted everybody to be paired off or everybody to be in some kind of weird love quadrangle and everybody to have some sort of love interest. And it's like, there's like, we watch the show for certain love interests, but we also watch the show for the plot. You don't have to make everybody into somebody's love interest. The problem is we don't need a love interest. A love interest needs to come naturally. You need to introduce characters that we want to have around, and then if the characters have a good connection, whether you've built it in intentionally or not, it needs to be that they came together in the show for other reasons besides, hey, we needed somebody for this character to have sex with.
Guys, there was so much wrong with the love triangles and stuff in every other season. I saw this scene and I was like, you know what? All right. It makes sense. He's a good-looking dude, all right?
Well, Danny,
you can say that as a guy, but it's not fair as a woman to be watching a show and be like, why is every female character except for Abby and Jenny on this show turning into some sort of lovesick, googly-eyed puppy over Ichabod? Like, I'm sorry, but if I was in a room with Ichabod, I might be like, yeah, he's attractive, but I wouldn't... Like, has this girl never been in a room with another attractive person? You don't lose your shit every time you're in a room with someone attractive, especially if you're a scientist.
Yeah, I mean, and who's apparently good at her job, from what it sounds like. But it
just made me angry. I was like, what is going on? Women can't function because Ichabod's that hot? Please.
Ichabod got a real nice haircut over the break.
Or maybe he started bathing more. I don't know.
You know what's coming? The man bun.
His hair's not long enough for the
It's gonna come. It's gonna be like the really lame man bun. It's like the little.
But
which
the other.
Brings me, can I rant about Betsy Ross? Can I?
Oh my God!
All right, I'm gonna.
And it has nothing. This is actually has not as much to do with like the. We tried that weird like. Katrina love interest thing last season and it didn't work and we're trying to redo it with Betsy Ross. I will leave that aside.
Let's let Jackie.
I just know that she's going to cover everything that I want to say too. So I just want to do a quick recap of the scene to say where I'm just like weirded out. All right. So let's see here. They talk about the Yaoguais and they say there was a Yaogwai at Bunker Hill, and basically the tides were turned after Prescott got a message. So we find out that Betsy Ross is a secret agent that delivered the message to Prescott so he can announce it to all the soldiers and all that kind of stuff.
All right. I loved that.
That was
awesome
cool.
The whole
awesome plot point.
Don't shoot till you see the white of their eyes. I thought that was really cool how they worked that in.
That is great. Yeah, that is what Sleepy Hollow is good at, doing the whole National Treasure stuff.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a code in the flag. They're going to try to find something National Treasure style in the flag, the 50 stars and things like that. We find out that Betsy had hooked up with Ichabod, and he says she's a patriot, and I said she's a patriot. Sorry, guys. That was adult humor, but... she has absolutely no time period accent at all. Like, I'm like, this is somebody from 2015 just talking to Ichabod.
Steve has the same problem I did.
And then she says, someday a woman will make you do something impulsive. Hope I'm there to see it. And and me and Zach both went like this. We're like, what?
Exactly.
Like, what is this weird flirting going on? And then they kiss for luck, and we're like, what the hell just happened?
I didn't understand.
Not
you had
appropriate plot point.
You had two scenes with Betsy Ross. This one scene where she's got this hat, she got the hat down, corner to the front, and she's just like throwing knives at people and like muskets, killing a bunch of people, which is hard to do because you got to preload all of them. Takes out like. You can only fire a musket or a pistol in that day one time.
That's
and then
true.
you gotta like stuff some like a ball down with some gunpowder with like a little like pour it in. It's very complicated.
Zach knows a lot about muskets.
Clearly.
Clearly.
I know how they work.
Yeah.
I played Assassin's Creed 3. But she does all of this. This badass female character, amazing historical like switcheroo.
Right, and then she, just like the brilliant doctor, has to turn into a mushy puddle around Ichabod because apparently his balls are made of gold.
Well, I'll say that like it's not like she melted over him, but the fact that she was like flirty and then kissed him, I just don't understand it because at this point in time, Ichabod is fully in love with Katrina.
Right.
And
we know that
a man has needs.
No, but Ichabod, as we know him...
But we also knew that he had a fling with Betsy Ross. They mentioned it in season 2. They mentioned it in season 1. We already knew. They did. There is lines in both seasons.
Is it mentioned?
Yes, it's mentioned.
All right.
So I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I feel like she's very nonchalant about it, and he's just very, very nonchalant about it. And you're like... They should have just not kissed. I feel like the kiss is what threw it off. Because the flirtiness I can understand. Like, there are hosts at AfterBuzz that do panels together, and they flirt together all the time, and it's nothing serious. Like, I feel like they have that connection. Like, you can flirt with people.
And everyone.
What? You can find her on Twitter at YellTeagle. But the kiss is what threw me off. Because I'm just like, coworkers flirt all the time. They don't cross that line. Especially, she's already a woman in this control situation that they wouldn't have had in this time, so it's already a swing. So then having a character like kiss a man on the lips who he's already betrothed in other ways, and like I know he might be having a fling for it, but it's still just, it was very, that mixed with the accent or lack of accent and the way she talked just threw me out of the scene.
Yeah, it just didn't feel natural. Jackie,
Sleepy Hollow,
we're gonna take a break.
Sleepy Hollow, what is your obsession with randomly putting women in bustiers? I don't get it. I don't effing get it.
I get it. I get it all the way.
Because here you have a woman who is doing all this cool stuff, posing as a guy, because we know if she was actually doing this as a woman, they wouldn't let her do that. We know this. It's a historical thing. And they touched on it last season when, they said, they mistook Abby for a slave. There are just things that didn't happen, that are historical facts from that time period. They would not let this woman run around in a bustier and pants. If she was going to dress like a man, she should dress like a man. It irritated the crap out of me because I'm like, this is so sexist. She can't just be a character who is like a cool spy who dresses like a man. We have to sexualize her. I don't get it. I don't get why she has to be sexualized.
Because it's Nikki Reed, and she's a good-looking woman.
But they don't sexualize the men this way on this show.
Well, I will just... I agree with you for the most part. I will say I'm willing to give them a chance to make it into something interesting, because I like what they did at the beginning with that character. So And I want to give, and because I liked a lot of this episode, I want to give the new...
I'm already irritated by the fact that she doesn't have a British accent, though. You make this big point this episode that you have the guy in the, what was that? The Colonial Times. You have him speaking in that quirky, like, faux British accent, and then Ichabod's like, that's not how we talked. So we had this clear idea of, okay, this is how people historically talked at this time. This is how we're, like, making fun of that. And then you have this flashback scene where you have her talking in an American accent.
Yeah, I mean, it's always the
lazy acting.
Colonial voices. Like, I saw somebody do a stand-up, not about Sleepy Hollow, but just about in general, is like everyone in like colonial times is always British or Southern. Yeah, that's it. There's no like unique accent for that time.
Hey, welcome to colonial times. Last time I had a colonial time was a few tribulations ago.
P.S. The store Colonial Times is the best thing in this episode.
Is it really?
Oh,
it was hilarious.
That. It is the best.
I love when he walks by the Benjamin Franklin bobblehead and he's like, well, they got something right because of its big head. This is great. It's actually awesome. Really good.
I loved everything about it. I loved all the crappy, like... the Boston Tea Party set.
Because if you're from the East Coast, you've been to those places.
Yes.
And they're amazing.
They're great. And you know what? If you
My family had a year pass to Williamsburg, and it was awesome because you can have a year pass to Williamsburg.
So many candles.
And you know what you can have a year pass to?
I made so many.
Jackie, you know what you can have a year pass to? That's absolutely amazing.
Disneyland?
You can have a year-long pass for free. In fact, you can have a tribulation-long pass for free to our podcast and our after show. And you know what? All it costs you is your eyes and ears and going to iTunes and giving us 5 stars and leaving a rating and review. So, you know, we have a few, Zach. I don't know if this iTunes read is outside of your guidelines. I might be breaking some rules.
I planned it for right here.
Did you plan it for right here?
There's a lot of exclamation points.
Some post-rantal things. All right, the last episode was February 20th, so I'm going to go ahead and read everything past then. Crystal Hummingbird says, binge watching. It's just a couple of you guys, and I'm binge watching on YouTube, even though I have loads to do. You guys are so addicting. I'm stoked the show is getting better because I love seeing your enthusiasm. Hopefully the show will get renewed, then I can watch more of you guys. Love. It could be 5 Eva. Cop Out by Carly P. Great podcast. I've even started rewatching the old episodes just to see how far close you were with your predictions. Just wondering, am I the only one who thought the fact that it was a bit of a cop out to have them involve time travel and not change anything, especially after all the hype of a game changer ending? It just seemed like a risk they should have taken. It would have given them a chance to completely retcon this mess of a season. I liked what they did. Now that we're in this season, I think it worked out pretty well.
I hope they use time change. I hope they use time travel in the future. Now that we know that it's a piece we can play.
Best Sleepy Hollow podcast. It's fun. They do a good job bringing things down. The criticism is well placed. Sometimes the negative goes on too long, but they're passionate about the show and listening to the podcast is part of my enjoyment show. That's by Carly P. Podcasting Addict. IHS-NC. Perfect podcast for a great show. iSparkles22. I watched all the podcasts of season 1 and 2, and y'all are so funny. Please do more for season 3. Hopefully with the new showrunner, things will go much smoother.
So far, so good.
And J.R. Robert says, hey, Sleepyheads and AfterBuzzers, have you heard the great news that Fox has renewed Sleepy Hollow for season 3? The news is bittersweet as Orlando Jones will not be returning. The showrunner, Mark Goffman, has also left and been replaced by Clifton Campbell at that time. And then Rux Zichi says, I just found you guys and I just love it! I recently started to rewatch Sleepy Hollow and I love hearing the after show and I love watching the show, so thank you so much! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I love you guys, so excited for season 3!
They do love us.
They did type that way.
Because of some requests. Not right now, but James, if you want to get the Downton Abbey theme ready, I'll call for it later.
Are we really doing this right now? Can't we do this at the end?
Can we talk about
I'm not now. I'm just telling
okay, Downton Abbey theme ready. Can we talk
about how the drug trafficking team was called Anaconda?
It don't want none.
Unless you got buns, hon. I couldn't help it. The whole episode, I was like... So Mix-a-Lot, you have a team.
I really wanted to open with that song, but I forgot about it.
Just to clarify for people in the chat room, we know that Betsy Ross was American-born, but there was no such thing as an American accent in colonial times. Yes. They would have had
a different accent,
a British accent,
sort of blend of a British accent.
I get that it wouldn't necessarily be completely British, but by our standards and our ears, it would sound British.
Right. So it would not sound like this panel, which is how Betsy Ross sounds.
There's so much more to talk about because let's discuss Pandora.
I want to we gotta break down Yao Guai in the storyline first.
No, but we met Pandora at the beginning.
Okay, so we're not doing the prediction yet.
No.
No theory.
Pandora is awesome.
We met Pandora at the beginning as this like crazy witch out in the woods.
Who killed Cock Robin?
What's the first thing that happens in this episode is they Pokeball capture Headless.
Pretty much.
It was a
master ball. It was a master ball. They introduced a woman who can use magic that actually does stuff.
That was amazing. She did more magic than Katrina did in probably about like 30 episodes.
Pretty much. She sings this weird thing, who killed Cock Robin, who killed the sparrow and watched him die, and it sealed the horseman in the box.
It was creepy, and I was instantly in.
I like her. She's Shannon Sossaman. She's doing a great
job.
Shannon
Sossaman.
She's doing a great job. She's so like kooky, weird, and perfect for this role.
I thought she for a split second, I thought it was what's it from Game of Thrones?
I know who you're talking about.
Headey? I don't think we can afford Lena Headey.
No. I'm aware that it's not this person, but like my brain thinks it is.
It does. She does look a little bit like Lena Headey.
So she summons this thing. I'm trying to find it in my notes. But she summons this thing by going to. Oh my god! I just completely lost my placing.
Well, anyway, she brings forth this the Yagway, this monster. She captures death, and she's talking.
That's right. She's
talking to the box and says, so she's addressing someone. Yeah. We don't know who yet, but she's addressing someone, and she says that I have brought you the power of death. Because she's captured the Horseman of Death, and
go obtain fear for me.
Yeah, so she sends the Yagway out to, I guess, absorb fear, which she then later is like looking at in like a reflecting pond.
This is another Sleepy Hollow moment that I loved, how they tied this creature into the invention of gunpowder, and that's why it's drawn to the gunpowder, and then that's why it was at the
Bunker Hill battle.
The Battle of Bunker Hill, and that's why he said, "Don't stop."
The white of your eyes.
The white of your eyes. I love that kind of stuff about Sleepy Hollow. I love that, looking at something from a different viewpoint.
So we get a great scene between two random guys on a farm where it's like, you couldn't hit an elephant if it was right in front of you. Reminds me, how's Sally doing? But and then the monster goes and eats them.
We knew you were dying quickly.
Yeah, they got eaten quickly. Pretty terrifying way to get eaten, just paralyzed and then eaten. You know, not how I'd want to be eaten. But if you guys want to go see, what is it, what's that movie called?
Inferno.
The Green Inferno. If you want to see people get eaten too.
No, thank you.
Go see that.
I'm good.
Thank
you.
Okay.
But so. We got by the end of the episode, like we were all, I think there was like a thought in the air when you see the box, like, is that Pandora's box? Like there's clearly like a world of like evil stuff going on inside it.
It looked like a universe. It looked like a galaxy.
Yeah, like Men in Black style.
So I was thinking she was Persephone, who's the goddess of vegetation and good harvest. She's Hades' daughter. Is Persephone, and
no, Hades. That's Hades'
wife. Sorry, Hades' wife is Persephone, and I was thinking it was her because
she's marriage.
giving the fear and feeding it into this tree, this plant, and just saying she has this huge thing about fear is power and there's much energy in fear. I'm like, guys, is this Monsters Inc?
No, it's Sailor Moon.
Oh, there's Monsters Inc. where she's doing the fear. And then she's feeding it into the plants, which is crazy. And she's rhyming. So she's the Riddler Sully of Monsters, Inc. Batman. And we're going to get a Gotham crossover at the same time we get Bones.
Would
Still
be a better crossover, and we'll
Bones.
talk about that later. But she's capturing fear. She's like clearly like feeding, like collecting power of one kind or another to either feed to her, whoever she's talking to, like a boss, or maybe just for her own purposes. She could have, I guess, been addressing the Yagway in that moment.
She was talking to something else. She was talking to the plant.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. The Yagway wasn't there.
Evil plant.
Feed me, Seymour!
Yes!
But I love the idea that you put that she could be talking to Persephone, like Pandora working for. First of all, I'm all of a sudden just unbelievably excited because I love Greek mythology. So I'm very excited to get into that in this season. But the idea that, like, it could be Persephone, seeing her, like, if Persephone in this universe was married to Moloch, what if, because, like, Moloch is sort of the devil or the underworld. Like, you could combine a lot of characters like that.
Yeah.
If Persephone was the wife of Moloch and is now out for revenge, that could be a cool thing. We talked about, like, the idea that Witness could also be destroyers.
Okay, so I should just go through this.
Yeah, go through your theory.
All right, so I did some research. I love Greek mythology. I'm a huge fan of it. I was really excited on Helix when they were getting into it, and then they just didn't do it, and I was like, sad.
You mean when you thought they were getting into it?
I was really excited when I thought they were getting into it, and they just didn't. Okay, so here's my long drawn-out prediction for what's going on right now. So she said it was a dowry. She says it's which a dowry is what you're given when you get married. But what people don't realize is a dowry can go both ways. She could be giving a dowry in hopes of herself getting married, as opposed to somebody giving her a dowry for her hand in marriage. Usually it's used giving to the woman, but you never know. So she said it was a dowry, which means it was it a gift from Hades to Persephone and given to Pandora to do her bidding on Earth? You never know. So Pandora might be the daughter of Persephone in this story. There's lots of different Greek myths, but I don't know. My notes are a little crazy, but just bear with me. Pandora was crafted by the gods in punishment of Prometheus, okay? She was given a box which was opened that had all of the evils of the world in it. Sin, plague, famine, war. Sound familiar? Kind of like the Four Horsemen of Death. Very similar. It unleashed all of this upon the world as punishment to Prometheus and as punishment to the humans for stealing fire back, but the only thing left in the box was hope. She was created for that reason and that reason alone. Just people kind of created the myth of Pandora and her box to explain why there was evil in the world. So she is the reason for evil. My season-long prediction is she's known for having been created of the earth by Zeus in anger of Prometheus staying in the fire. So she's made of the earth. She opens her jar and all seven deadly sins come out, and all that's left is hope. Prometheus was chained to a rock. This is just history here. Mythology.
Mythology.
Prometheus was chained to a rock, and Zeus sent an eagle to eat his liver and have it regrow every night. The eagle would return every day to perpetually torment Prometheus by eating it. And fortunately, Hercules set him free after a long time, but that's in some stories and not in others. Anyway, for receiving the fire, Prometheus was punished, and that was his punishment. He stole fire to give it to man, because Prometheus was this guy who always was working with the gods to provide men with things. He was the gift giver. So, in punishment, Zeus creates the first woman, Pandora, from clay, and they give her all the negative aspects of life that would befall her will befall the human race. So I think that Pandora and her box, I'm sorry this is so drawn out, guys, I apologize. I think Pandora is collecting all of the evil aspects she had set loose from the box in the first place 4,000 years ago when they're talking about how old these tablets are, to complete the dowry once again and link the heavens and earth. It may have been a dowry given to her, but I believe she's trying to use it now to present it to Prometheus, who has been sealed away for all this time. I think the end of the season will reveal Prometheus to have become vengeful and resentful towards the human race, as opposed to what she believes being the savior of them. I think by resurrecting Prometheus, who is originally the savior, he's going to try to destroy the human race because of his resent towards giving them the fire and himself being locked up. So I think when he tries to destroy the human race, I think Pandora's good. I think she's trying to save humanity from the destroyers, because in Greek mythos, the witnesses are the destroyers. So if she misunderstands that, it would lead her to believe that the witnesses are trying to destroy the world, so she wants to get Prometheus to save the world.
Or what's on that tablet, building on that, what's on that tablet could foretell something that they're going to do. They're going to defeat someone, maybe it's Pandora, maybe it's someone else, that is doing good in the world, so they wind up doing harm, even if they don't mean to, which I could totally see Abby and Ichabod doing. If a monster comes along, a demon that appears to be doing something evil, but is actually trying to do something good, and they stop it before it can do it.
This is similar to that plot we touched on when they had that angel
little bit.
Yeah.
So my final thing
which I found interesting.
The final thing for the season, I believe, is when she realizes she has to stop Promethea, she's going to use all of the gathered up hope that remained in her box from all of the times to eliminate Prometheus and herself, angering the gods once more and opening us up for season 4 with more tribulations. Again, I think they're not going to, of course, use the name Prometheus or anything. I think they'll probably have another character. But
they used the name Pandora, so if they're going to go for it, I think they just need to go for it. Here's a question from Ren Einsberg that sort of just built right on that. Do we think Pandora is a witch or a goddess? Witches have been previously established in the show. So what do you guys think?
Neither.
I think
Pandora's a human.
I think she's a goddess.
Well, but okay, so maybe instead of goddess, demigod, which is what a human would become.
Nothing. I think she's completely human.
But then she would have to be what? She's using magic in one way or another. So much the way that Katrina is human, but she uses magic, so that makes her a witch.
But the thing is witches are humans as well.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So if you're going to think about it in that terms, Pandora is the original witch. She is the one from which all magic comes from. She is the original woman. She is Eve. That is the mythos. Is that the gods created the first woman, and that is Pandora. Which is kind of misogynistic, because you really think like they created the first woman and it bestowed all of the evils upon the world. I mean, it's messed up.
Same thing in the Bible.
Yeah, but I think if we're to think of anything, she's all-powerful.
Yeah, I mean, that could be...
She has some really powerful glamour. I liked that when the cop pulls up.
Oh, that was a great scene.
And she is like, oh, what's over there? And he turns around and she's looking normal.
And the cop's just like, I know I'm supposed to offer you a ride at this point, but I am freaking out. I'm getting out of here. Raise window, drive away.
But you got to realize, she has not been sealed away. She hasn't been gone away. She's been wandering the earth. She's been around. She's been waiting a whole lifetime for this. So if she was going to do some cataclysmic evil thing, she could have done it far before this. And they might tie it into some other thing, saying, oh, she was there at the fall of this Reich or whatever's going on, or she was there leading these terrible massacres or whatever. They could go with that. But, I mean, I think if she's here for any reason, it's to stop the apocalypse.
Yeah.
I think she, in her own right, is doing what she can, because she didn't send a creature to kill people. She sent a creature to collect fear.
I do think it's interesting that... well, the creature feeds on fear. I'm not entirely sure that it collects it. Yeah, I think it feeds on it. It
collects it.
I think she found a way to collect it via the Yagweh.
Yeah.
I do find it interesting, though, that the witnesses translate to destroyers, and I do think that's going to tie in to a larger plot line. Because it seems very strange that somebody who we thought was protecting everybody would have a translation for destroyers.
Well, we can also think of it this way. What if 4,000 years ago there was another set of witnesses? Because it does say that the witnesses have the power to either save or destroy the world.
Yeah.
So if you look at it as in a cyclical theory, you could say that the witnesses from 4,000 or 5,000 years back, whatever it was, chose the other path and did not choose the path that Ichabod and Abby are on. And the tale was told from a different perspective. The tale was told as the witnesses are destroyers, and then from another history, the witnesses are saviors.
I mean, that's why I went to the Moloch's wife thing, is because if you are from Moloch's realm, even if you're not from like necessarily like the part of purgatory that we saw, but from his realm, you would have learned that myth as the destroyers, because they are your enemy. So regardless of what your intentions are, that the myth is 2 destroyers will come to Earth and will destroy 7 big events. However you want to, like, there's not tribulations.
7 tribulations later.
They will destroy 7 tribulations. But so I think there's a lot of great stuff there. A lot of potential.
Somebody in the chat says that they don't think that she could be a goddess because they've been going on Christian mythology. I disagree.
I don't think they've entirely been going on Christian mythology.
They've used a lot of it, but they've also used tons of other mythologies.
Yeah, I mean, we had the
like Wendigo,
the poison,
Christian mythology.
the Asian poison, where you take all the animals and you put them in one thing. I forgot what it's called.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I mean, in this episode, the Yagwei was from the Tang Dynasty. It's Chinese. Like the Sleepy Hollow has never been shy about using lots of different mythologies, and that's part of what I think all love about this show is that they bring in all these monsters that are very interesting because they come from so many different places, but they find a way to make them work in this universe, in this world. And what I think was so strong about this episode, like there were things that we didn't like, and we've gone over those.
Yeah, I mean that's in every show. You're gonna have things
of course, but I think that what this episode did so well is that you got this monster of the week that we discovered, we fought, and we destroyed. But that monster was only a part of some much bigger arc and conspiracy plot that is going on with Pandora, and it never felt like this is just a one-off thing. But you absolutely could watch it and just see that one thing. So if you're going to do an episodic show, that sort of storytelling that network TV mainly does because they want people to be able to come in and out.
Like the guy in our chat roll who's never seen one episode of Sleepy Hollow could tune into this one.
Yeah, but the fact that threaded so well and smoothly into the Pandora storyline tells me that they have a plan for this season, and I'm willing to jump on the ride because I can see that there are chess pieces moving into place.
I think there's a few things that I think. I think, first of all, it was not a good enough plan for killing the monster in the end. I think the show really does still suffer from the same thing from last season with the monsters, though, is that they take them out so quickly. I mean, and the scene where they kill it is so weird because Ichabod falls on the boxes, it bashes Jenny out of the way, it bashes Ichabod off the thing, and then it jumps towards him, and then it suddenly turns to dust, and we find that Abby's the one that shot it. And then that was really quick. It was kind of like a random, like, oh, well, it took us a shot in the face when his eyes were white. Done. But then, what I didn't like about the scene, first of all, it's one bullet knocks it out. It's done. That's the creature of the week is already done. But what the hell? Jenny just got beat the hell half to death, and Ichabod's staying there hugging Abby, and they're just not even mentioning the fact that Jenny could be bleeding to death in the other room.
Rude.
So rude.
Rude.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody even was like wondering about what happened to Jenny at that moment.
Yeah, she's a badass, but she needs a hug too.
Yeah.
We should hug.
She does. She needs help. A lot of people need help, and you know what? There's a lot of like problems going on in Sleepy Hollow right now at the Westchester FBI office. Stephen, did you have?
I had just a few more notes that I typed in. I put my notes in bold when I do like recap notes, and then I put the real notes in bold. The cop that gave him the tablet in the jail, who was kind of paying a little bit too close attention.
They look just like you.
He's the bad guy cop from The Walking Dead last season in the hospital. So from what I can tell from that, I think we're going to see more of him. Like, I think he's not just a one-off character.
Better crossover than Bones.
I think he's a Hessian, quite possibly, because we still have Hessians at play.
That's true.
I would love to do some more with the Hessians.
Yes.
Also,
Hessians?
One thing that just bothered me a little bit, you have 30 FBI agents at this one place chasing down Chang with hostages. Everything's super high tense. Everything's just, they would be on a quick trigger finger and everything. And then you have Ichabod like literally 100 feet away shooting off bullets, and nobody's alerted to the fact that there's a random guy at the scene shooting off bullets somewhere.
Yeah, no,
it was chaos. I mean, that point I'll let go because it seemed to be dark and chaotic in there, and then the main FBI guy got killed. So
there were other gunshots going on. Like the FBI, I think, like they had to fire some rounds. Like I think that there's enough going on that I am fine with them not getting called in for that.
It's just something I mentioned, and then. Yeah. It was really interesting to go from Abby talking earlier in the episode about like, come on, Crane, we're not doing this again. We're not doing this again. No, it hasn't returned to Sleepy Hollow. No, everything's fine. To going in where Chang is and just being like, I've seen the monsters. They're real. I wish they weren't, but I know they're real. I'm a witness. And she's kind of completely admitting everything to herself in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really awesome speech. I hope that we still see her being reluctant in this episode, in the season rather.
I think we will. I mean, she's an FBI agent, so it's like she's going to be torn between her duty as an FBI agent and then her duty as a witness.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot for her to have to deal with. I think that's going to be the big thing, is because they said like there's a lot of evil in this world, not all of it's supernatural. I think that's going to be a theme throughout the season, is her attempts to balance. She has a lot more responsibility now. She's not just a local cop. She is in charge of a branch of the federal government.
X-Files.
Well, I mean,
it's what we like about this show. It's like X-Files with like monsters.
It's like, Scully, the truth is out there, and I'm gonna find it.
The truth.
I'm a hand model. Just bringing it back to Zoolander.
All right, I think
what?
I think we can do it now.
You know what? There's models going on. There's like people. There's love interests coming out of every corner.
That's scandalous.
It's so scandalous
indeed.
that I think we're gonna have to take a trip to Sleepington Abbey.
Delightful.
Oh, this music gives me the vapors.
This week on Sleepington Abbey, love interests were introduced both at work and at home, and potentially wandering out of the woods or from the 17th or 18th centuries. What will happen? I heard, you guys. It's been so long since we've done this.
It's been so long we don't have Matt.
I heard that Miss Betsy Ross, of all folks, the woman who sewed our national flag, was caught kissing Mr. Ichabod Crane, a betrothed man, in the field of battle.
Gallivantly!
I heard she was kissing Ichabod Crane while wearing a low-cut bustier.
Oh,
Scandalous!
Ooh. I heard there was a woman in the forensics lab who stared a full 5 seconds at a man. Everyone was ashamed.
Scandalous!
Shame.
Most scandalous indeed.
Shameful.
Oh my god, you guys. Alright.
There was a woman walking down the road. A police officer, Officer Brady, was stopping to help her. She changed her clothes in midday.
In the middle of the road.
Middle of the day.
Scandalous.
Most scandalous.
Alright, I think that's it.
Alright, guys. I think, should we move into predictions? Let's do some predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV prediction.
All right, in the scenes we see that she's growing more plants. There's a shadow being and no arrow blessed by the High Priest of Angkor. Daniel Reynolds is her boss, the man from season 2. There's romance, and she says, "Mind your business."
Yeah.
Clearly, she dated him, and we have to bring that into play because apparently there needs to be a love quadrangle or of some sort.
Love rhombus. If there's going to be a love complication, there need to be 4 people involved so that I can have a love rhombus.
Why is it a rhombus? Can't it just be a love quadrilateral?
It had to be a rhombus.
Had to be a rhombus?
Because it's all bent out of shape and people are off at like different angles from each other. It's a rhombus.
Got it. I'll go with it.
I predict that Corbin will come back and it'll be awesome.
You mean Baby Corbin?
Baby Corbin.
Yeah, I'd love to see Baby Corbin. I was gonna do this as news and gossip, but I think everyone's aware at this point.
Yeah, we know Baby Corbin's coming back.
Well, no, so let's discuss real quick the prediction of what the hell we're gonna get from a Sleepy Hollow Bones crossover. If you haven't heard, we'll do it without the soundbite, but this is an official thing. This is happening at some point during this season. It's not a joke,
which sometimes people last season thought it was.
But there will be, in this season, a Sleepy Hollow Bones crossover. Yes. Thank you. Yes, the Bones starring David Boreanaz. I would think, you know what would be a better crossover? David Boreanaz as Angel.
In the show Angel.
I know you're not allowed to talk to David Boreanaz about Angel anymore.
You're not allowed to say Angel in the presence of David Boreanaz?
Yeah.
Dude, without Angel, no one would know who he was.
Let's think about some shows that might have been a better crossover.
X-Files, which is also on Fox.
Grimm. Let's see. Hannibal might have been cool. I know those are on different networks,
Dominion.
But whatever. Hell, I would have loved to see a New Girl crossover. We're doing Fox shows before we did
Muppets.
Bones. Well, even that would have been that would have been better. That still would have been better.
ICHABOD CRANE.
My issue is I don't understand because Bones is not a supernatural world.
I'll tell you one thing. The only thing that I could possibly see it being a crossover, and I'm sorry to say this, they're going to find the bones of some really, really old
dude,
like Greek figure of mythology or something, or 4,000-year-old bones, or they're going to find like some American hero bones, and they're going to have to be like,
the bones of the Benjamin Franklin hologram.
We're going to need some experts to analyze it. Guys, we need some experts to analyze this.
Could it be that they step through, would it be like they step through a dimensional portal and Bones is in another dimension?
No.
Because here's the thing, like, if you're a Bones fan, this is why it threw me. It's because for us, you're
fine.
bringing in a bone expert. Great, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Right.
But for Bones fans,
it's weird.
Why are they going to introduce? They're going to have to introduce a supernatural element to Bones, a show that's been on the air for 10 years without any supernatural elements to it. And I'm curious to see how they're going to do it. I'm sure that this was like something come down from up high because NBC's done a few of these crossovers with their Chicago series.
And they were probably like, we can't let Bones die, and Sleepy Hollow, this will be great.
Come on, guys, he was Angel. That's what the executives were saying.
But either way, we'll be here to review it. I will, when we get there, try to give it the benefit of the doubt.
I think it'd be interesting to do an episode with no supernatural stuff in Sleepy Hollow. I think it'd be interesting. Because that would be so much like the X-Files, to have something that seems supernatural that they come out and it's actually just maybe a deformity or something like that they find out.
Like Scooby-Doo?
I would agree with you that would be an interesting episode. But making it the episode that's dealing with these people would like cheapen it because it's weird. Like again, it's weird to bring these people in.
The Headless Horseman was the town grocer the whole time. I would have gotten away with it too.
Yeah,
he was trying to lower the property value in Sleepy Hollow, but we stopped him.
So Tickled Tea Lady in the chat says Bones had a boy ghost in one episode with a psychic.
Well, there you go.
So we're getting a Casper, Bones, and Sleepy Hollow crossover.
But Boo69Bs, thanks for tuning in, Boo, said that she's a Bones fan and said this is weird to me.
Oh.
So like even Bones fans, like because even if you're the same audience, it's a surprising choice. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with it.
Oh, somebody says they need to translate the tablet.
Oh, that would make sense. But I thought Ichabod could translate some of it.
Yeah, he was working on it. He did enough to translate the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I think he probably has enough of a handle to get the rest eventually.
It's going to be like The Destroyers, and then underneath it'll say like Mark Goffman. And they'll be like, oh, makes sense now.
Oh, self-aware humor.
Someone had a good point here that they think the Bones episode will end up being some sort of dream or collective hallucination.
Yeah,
in the Bones world.
Fever dream before. Yeah. But it's not an episode of Bones, unless they're doing it two-parter. It's an episode of Sleepy Hollow, right?
It's a crossover. So it's an episode of Bones and an episode of Sleepy Hollow.
I'm not gonna watch. Okay. I'm not gonna watch every episode of Bones to prepare for this episode of Sleepy Hollow.
That'll be tough. So
we may have to find a Bones expert to bring in for that episode. So we'll work on that. Until then.
Oh, Byron thinks you're cute, Jackie.
Oh, thanks, Byron, who doesn't watch Sleepy Hollow.
Until then, Stephen Lemieux, where can the people keep up with you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, STPHENLEMIEUX, as well as at the Popcorn Talk Network. Check that network out, man. If you have any ideas for movie shows, I'm open to them. I will look into creating them.
You can find me on my website, 123jackieb.com. I have a blog on there. I'm writing recaps of Once Upon a Time, American Horror Story, and The Nick there. So if you want to check that out. And also on my series, Words, Wine, and Women.
Cool. You guys can
follow. It's a web series, so it's free and you can find it.
Hit that thumbs up, guys. Hit that thumbs up.
Hit it. You guys can follow me on Twitter at @ZachWilson, ThatzachWilson on Instagram and all the places. You can also find me here on AfterBuzz on a whole bunch of shows this fall season, including Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Dominion season finale with Jacque Borowski on Monday. I saw the episode tonight. It is killer. And I'm so excited to talk to you guys about it. Also, The Muppets and Doctor Who and a few more. Check out my Twitter. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for this season 3 premiere of Sleepy Hollow. I'm Zach Wilson, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Good night, sleepyheads.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.